They found Mr. Harrow looking peaceful, as though he had simply fallen asleep. No illness, no pain, no warning signs. His family couldn't understand how someone so active and healthy could just not wake up. But when they looked closer, they realized something surprising. Over the years, his daily habits had quietly become dangerous. Small things he did without thinking, things many of us do as we get older. It turns out these little habits could lead to big risks. At 83, Mr. Harrow was full of life. He played chess, went for walks, and loved spending time with his family. He was sharp and mentally alert, someone you'd never expect to face sudden health problems. But that morning, everything changed. It wasn't a random event. It was the result of a few overlooked morning routines that we often don't consider, but they can be far more harmful than we realize. If you're in your 60s or beyond, or if you have a loved one who is, this video is for you. We're diving into the 3 simple habits that could be secretly putting your health at risk. So go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe for more insights. And we want to hear from you. What habits do you think could be harmful in the morning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 1, breathing shallow first thing in the morning. Every morning begins with a breath, but few of us stop to think about how we're breathing, especially right after waking up. For years, Mr. Harrow followed the same routine. Wake up, swing his legs off the bed, and head to the kitchen for coffee without a second thought. It never occurred to him that those first moments of the day could hold the key to feeling sharper, more energized, and even more balanced. What he didn't know was that the way we breathe in those early minutes can set the tone for our entire day. During sleep, particularly when lying on our back, our breathing naturally becomes slower and shallower. It's part of the body's way of conserving energy. But as we transition from sleep to wakefulness, we often carry that shallow pattern into our day without noticing. For someone younger, that might not feel like a big deal. But as we get older, our bodies and brains need a little more support to fully turn on in the morning. Shallow breaths can mean less oxygen reaching the brain, which leads to feeling foggy, tired, or even dizzy. Mr. Harrow, now in his late 60s, started noticing he wasn't as clear-headed in the morning as he used to be. He'd sometimes feel a little lightheaded standing up, or he'd find himself reaching for more caffeine just to get going. A friend casually mentioned a breathing habit that changed everything for him. Sitting up in bed and taking slow, deep breaths for just 2 minutes before doing anything else. It sounded too simple to matter, but he decided to give it a try. The first time he tried it, he noticed something subtle but real. With each deep breath, his chest expanded, his belly rose, and he felt a bit more present. No rushing, no to-do lists, just breath. Over a few days, that simple habit started to pay off. His head felt clearer, his energy steadier. The fog that once clung to his mornings started to lift, and he began to feel more grounded and alert without relying so much on coffee. It was as if his brain was finally getting the oxygen it had been waiting for. What seemed like a small change became a quiet revolution in how Mr. Harrow began his day. 2 minutes of mindful breathing helped him feel more in control of his mornings, more centered before the world came calling. He still kept his coffee, but now it followed his breath, not the other way around. And perhaps most importantly, he learned that the first breath of the day is more than just a reflex. It's a chance to wake up fully from the inside out. Number 2, skipping protein at breakfast. Mr. Harrow had always been a fan of his morning ritual, 2 slices of toast slathered in jam and a hot cup of tea. It was comforting, familiar, and easy. But as he got older, especially after turning 70, he noticed something was changing. He didn't have quite the same energy in the mornings, and simple tasks like walking to the garden or lifting grocery bags started to feel harder. He brushed it off at first, thinking it was just part of aging. But the truth was, something in his daily routine was speeding up his muscle loss. As we age, our bodies naturally begin to lose muscle mass. It's a slow but steady process, and for people in their 70s and beyond, it can have a big impact on balance, strength, and energy. The problem becomes even more serious when meals, especially breakfast, don't provide the nutrients our bodies need to fight back. Mr. Harrow's toast and jam breakfast, while tasty, wasn't giving him the fuel he needed. It was mostly sugar and carbs, offering a quick energy boost but no lasting strength. One morning, his daughter suggested a small change. "Why not add a little protein?" she asked. He was skeptical at first. Protein seemed like something athletes focused on, not retired gardeners like him. But she explained how even a small serving, a boiled egg, a dollop of Greek yogurt, or a spoonful of protein powder stirred into oatmeal, could help his muscles stay strong. It wasn't about building bulky muscles. It was about preserving what he already had, staying active, and feeling steady on his feet. He decided to give it a try. The next morning, alongside his toast, he added a hard-boiled egg. The following week, he swapped jam for a layer of peanut butter and started feeling less tired before lunch. Slowly, he noticed he could move around more easily and even take longer walks without needing to rest. The shift was simple, but the benefits were real. His body was responding to the extra support, and he started to feel more like himself again. Now, breakfast is still Mr. Harrow's favorite meal, but it's more than just a comfort. It's a small, daily step he takes toward independence. The toast is still there, but so is the protein. And with that small addition, he's giving his body the strength it needs to keep up with his life. It's a quiet victory each morning, one that helps him greet the day with energy and confidence. Number 3, not checking blood pressure in the morning. He kept a blood pressure cuff in his drawer, tucked away like something he might need someday, but not today. Most mornings he didn't even think about it. "I feel fine," he would say with a shrug, brushing off any concern. That was his way. He figured if there was no headache, no dizziness, no pounding chest, then there was no problem. But inside, quietly and without warning, his blood pressure was doing something he couldn't feel. Something dangerous. What he didn't know, what many don't, is that blood pressure tends to rise in the early hours of the day. It's the body's natural rhythm. Hormones surge, the heart kicks into gear, and if you're not properly rested or hydrated, it can push those numbers even higher. He had no idea that the time he was feeling his best might actually be when he was at the most risk. No alarms were going off. No symptoms screamed out. But every morning the pressure was quietly mounting. These early spikes can be lethal. Morning is when the body is under the most strain, especially for people with hidden health risks. The heart works harder, vessels constrict, and if you add stress or poor sleep to the mix, the risk climbs. He went about his routine like everything was fine. Coffee, breakfast, maybe a quick news scroll. But underneath, his heart was bearing a load it couldn't carry for long. He never thought to check the numbers, never paused to look beneath the surface of feeling fine. A quick cuff around his arm each morning could have told him a different story. Just 30 seconds. That's all it would have taken to reveal the silent climb happening inside him. If he had seen that number ticking too high, he might have acted. Cut back on salt, moved more, rested better, maybe checked in with a doctor. It could have been the warning sign he needed before things went too far. But without checking, he was walking blind. When he finally fell, it shocked everyone. There was no sign, no warning, or so it seemed. But the truth is, the signs were there. They were just never read. That little device in his drawer could have spoken volumes if he had only listened. Instead, the silence grew louder, and by the time anyone noticed, it was already too late. He thought he was fine. But blood pressure doesn't wait for you to feel it. It just builds until it breaks. Mr. Harrow's passing came quietly, with no warning signs loud enough to stop it. He wasn't in pain, and there was no dramatic scene. Just an ordinary morning that became his last. But what happened in silence left behind a powerful message. It wasn't about a sudden illness or an unexpected fall. It was about the little things he didn't do, the daily choices he didn't think mattered. And that's what made it all the more tragic. Every day we go through routines without thinking twice, skipping breakfast, rushing out the door, ignoring the tightness in our chest or the slight dizziness that passes too quickly. Mr. Harrow had been doing the same. He thought he was fine. He thought he was just getting older. But behind the scenes, his body was sending signals he never stopped to check. A 2-minute pause could have been enough to notice something was off. A simple check of his blood pressure, or making sure he was eating enough to keep his strength. In a different morning, Mr. Harrow sat down for a proper breakfast, added some protein to his plate, and took a moment to breathe, slowly and deeply. Maybe he would have checked his blood pressure, like his doctor once suggested. That one small habit might have revealed the silent warning signs building up inside him. It could have led to a call to his doctor, a quick visit, a prescription, a different outcome.